For breaking news, go to iDiskiTimes.co.za. iDiskiTV powered by World Sports Betting. iDiskiTimes.co.za. That's Orlando Pirates climbing up the table. After losing the first 2 games of the league, they're starting to pick up points now. Everyone expected that they will beat Orbit College, and of course they did do so. However, the way that it happened was kind of difficult. First half belonged to Orbit. Second half, Sipombula introduced, Umbata introduced, and then Pirates start to look better. It was a world-class goal from Usiema in Duane centre back, the Orlando Pirates. It was a beautiful goal. Well done to Orlando Pirates for the full complement of the 3 points. Lindo Pep, our analyst. What did you make of the game, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Nkeo, shop kunjani?
Yes, sir.
I think Bulisi is in Jangala, Ngara. Ngulise the whole team, Ngulise just Ngulise now. Mr. Nkeo, just congratulate man, Coach Ouaddou.
Sometimes you have classes, sometimes you don't have classes.
Yeah, no.
You are a complicated person. We out here say Orlando, FA Sundowns. You are a complicated person.
Yeah, no, very complicated. I guess I'm a genius and Lindo. You sometimes. Yeah.
Geniuses don't tend to call themselves geniuses, but please go ahead. World-class goal from Usiema.
Sure.
World-class goal. And I think you mentioned it as well when we were watching the first half that number one, Orbit College is dominant, but you were saying, and something that people won't know, you kept on saying to us that number one, you wish that Orbit has good conditioning.
Yeah.
Because what will happen in the second half is that the game is going to catch up with them.
Yeah.
If I'm saying that they're dominant, someone who's watching who didn't see the game might think that I'm exaggerating. They were really dominant.
Really good.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah, Mr. Nkeo, just kulumeng Orbit. The first forensic moment that you have to identify before ngena ku forensic moment ngishinza ngistripper. Let me give credit to a couple of players. Even though I might butcher their name, but I think these players did exceptionally well today. The goalkeeper, from a technical perspective, from reading the game, I think is exceptional. Umurela. I like the centre back, even though
it looks like
but on the ball, very comfortable.
Yeah.
Very comfortable. Less mistakes in his game. I think he played exceptionally well. I think given Tibedi, no atisang
in the midfield.
Exceptional on the ball. More especially on the ball, Mr. Nkeo. Credit to Lentwana Lebuya TDC, Orlando Pirates, Umabele. I think he did exceptionally well with the chances that they created. Of course, they got them half chances, but in my opinion, there's 2 forensic moments that you have to identify, Mr. Nkeo, is the fact that the Orbit College are a position-based team. But in that position game team, I think there's a lesson, there's a coaching moment for all of us. I think is that if you want to keep position, everyone loves coaching position football. But I think the most difficult is to coach without the ball. What happens immediately must start to lose the ball because there's 2 things you must identify. When you're building out from the back and when you want to keep the ball, Mr. Nkeo, you are stretching the field. Where you make 3 different pitches. It's a small-sided game and I'm a pitch 3. In that game, you've got 3 different teams. Laba 2 by a press with different peeps. They make that pitch a little bit bigger. There's 2 things or 3 things that you learn from the drill. You first learn critical thinking, learning how to pass both feet in tight spaces. But the most critical one is that we make the pitch bigger. Master to lose or we compress the pitch. In the first 10 minutes, that's the first thing I identify. Orlando Pirates will create opportunities because the Orbit College, yes, they are really good on the ball, but mabangal petangi bola because but stretchy, they can't quickly counter press. But by Shesha Bailungis, and that's the biggest credit I want to give Coach Pochiso today to say your team is a well-coached team. Maybe quality-wise, you didn't take letter down as a coach because as a coach, you're as good as your players. But Mangoti checker from a setup, from a tactical structure, from a format, from an application from those boys, exceptional. On the ball, I think they were able to find one another. From a build-up perspective, them progressing the ball into midfield, them being able to create those half chances. I think in the first half, in my opinion, they played exceptionally well. But now, you have to speak about something really important in football, and that's why coaches have technical teams. That's why analysts have become important. And in modern football requires players to be well conditioned. Conditioning in simple form, if I'm speaking to someone at home, the upper body must be equal to the lower body. And all the players must be the same. And my worry was, will Orbit cope for 90 minutes? Because the energy in which they are pressing without the ball, for me, worried me to say, do they have the right coaches, the right technical coaches to help these boys in terms of stamina?
Can they do it the whole match? Because
you can see from a technical perspective, Mr. Nkeo, that Upokhisho and his technical team, they are working tirelessly. Because this is not the... and this is another thing in Orbit. They are not only doing it at the highest level of football. They did it Google and Doos. And the first season, they were promising. They didn't win because, yes, they did not capitalize, but defensively, sometimes they would lose games that they shouldn't have lost. They lost the promotion, but the last season absolutely dominated the second division. They come into the Petro Premiership. Yes, they've played 4, they've lost 3, won 1. But Mangata Checker, from a performance perspective, our job here is to analyze performance, not result. We always emphasize that. From a performance perspective, very impressed by Orbit, very impressed by certain players. Ubati, 42-year-old, I have to speak about him. Inspiration. I, as a person, as a man, away from football. I was having this conversation with Junior last week. Must be Pirates. It's not how you start. Coach Ouaddou started bad. But Mangotia checker now, things are looking a little bit brighter for him winning against the Mamelodi Sundowns. And this is it, Ngobat. Sometimes in life, you're as good as given the opportunity. And for me, the application from the boy today, how he's leading these younger boys.
He is a man.
He's a man. Oh, sorry. That's actually time. He's 42.
We are younger than him. Both me and I'm 35, you are 30, and he's 43. And he's fit and he's playing professional football.
My God, the energy, playing for 90 minutes, consistency, enjoys every action. I think, Mr. Nkiwu, his best quality ubathi mina. Nano mamnandi kanjani. I think ushama player ka epayikas because kuneta for every level. Uyakwazi ukuba istar sasePucini, ube istar ku-SAP. I think Ubati changes the culture of Kasi football, in my opinion. Because now we challenge players to say psychological. I think his best quality is psychological. He's coachable. He's willing to help. He understands what a senior player is. And he's playing his role as a senior player. That's why I'm always fighting that South African football cannot kill senior players.
For sure.
And that's why they are showing their experience. Even the number 4 guy, I don't want to pronounce his name bad. You can tell Nkulego that he's guiding that back four from a defensive perspective, from a build-up perspective.
Sorry to cut you. We have to look at Pirates.
Sure.
They turned this around.
Yeah.
They started slow. It was kind of a questionable performance in the first half. Why would you be dominated by visitors at the Orlando Stadium? Of course, as big as you are and as quality you are as Orlando Pirates, but then they turned it around with substitutions. Take us through Orlando Pirates and what you noticed about them and how they turned the game around. Because it was a world-class goal that they scored. You could make the argument that it's not like, someone would say that it's not like you won through dominance, but you scored a world-class goal. But what did you notice from Orlando Pirates?
I think the 2 games that the coach lost scared him. And for me, in preseason, he convinced us that he wants to ease a position-based team in the first game against Polokwane. But in my opinion, now what we are seeing from Coach Ouaddou is he's not a proactive coach. He's a reactive coach. Defensively, he sets his team up to play on a transition. He's got players in the team that need to adapt. And players need to know, like our police, that adapting is a quality, it's a skill. For me, Orlando Pirates is a team that plays with space. They play transition, so they attack the space. They don't want wingers that play on the ball. They want wingers that run in behind. One of the reasons why I think Game Pirates sometimes is stagnant is the lack of movement in the final third. The only person that offers them a movement is Ushibelebele because he's got a threat. Remember, Mr. Nkiwu, we can always defend if your opponent passes alapamwit. But the most dangerous ball is the one Lemeli defensive tenny board. And for me, in my opinion, Orlando Pirates should never ever approach an orbit game with 2 defensive midfielders. I am not saying why Mariko is not playing, but you cannot bench Usipombule. Even Nayumbata, you can see the difference second half. And for me, the Orlando Pirates can never play Ngunduli no Mariko in an Obi Clintus. And they allow the Obi to have the ball. For me, you play with 1-6 and you play with 2 attacking midfielders because you want to show your intentions before you came in. The setup of Orlando Pirates is that he came in and already the line is deep. For me, that worried me because on initial you are striking on Mabasa. That tells you that you're not going to press. You understand I'm mistaken? So for me, even Nano Mabasa are presser. Utito, how far is he? How far is the midfield? How far is the defense?
Yeah.
So there's gaps. And I think that's what brought the best out of Obi, because Obi could find passes. That is because of the lack of emphasis in terms of the first line of confrontation. Umabasa will never ever offer you that. He's got a different quality. But the midfield too as well is too far. It is too far. For me, you play with a double pivot so that they can also help you, not in position, out of position when you want to win the ball a little bit quicker.
Have you noticed anything about Mariko? Uguti, what is he? Because the expectation, I don't know, there's 2 Marikos that Pirates signed.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one is which one, but the expectation was that Mariko is a goal-scoring midfielder.
Yeah.
Is it this one, or is this one supposed to be the defensive midfielder, Mariko? Is he good on the ball? Is he good with passing? Is he a hard-tackling player? What can we say about him so far in the little time that we've seen him?
Mr. Nkiwu, just like Usales at Mamelodi Sundowns, Istori Sakangezana is one that will make me not to destroy young players. And because I'm very careful with young players, because they can always turn around and have a career. So you must be very careful, just like Usales. But my argument is, it's not a quality argument. When you come to South African football, whether you're a coach, a conditioning coach, a football player, or a journalist, an analyst, you must be a ceiling raiser.
You must be better than what
you must be better than what we have, because now you're compromising the boys that we have. At Mamelodi Sundowns, there's some Mkhulisa that we don't see anymore. There's so many players that are happening. I'm sorry to bring it into it. It's happening at Orlando Pirates now. Now you're compromising Umbata, who had a stellar performance. And credit to Umbata, because for me, iron's sharpen iron. And I want to give him credit for that. But before I give Umbata credit, Umariko, from what I've seen from him, is that on the ball, he looks good, but it's because he's playing with better players. But for me, is there anything special about him? I still need to see more. He hasn't convinced me, to be honest with you, Mr. Nkiwu. I'm not convinced, but I want to be careful with this, because with younger players, There's something about younger players that
There's room for them to develop their game.
yes, they can develop their game. He's new. He's inside the country. It's positive criticism for me. I still want to see more. I need him to spend more time in the country. But another thing that these foreign guys need to understand is that adapting is a quality. Adapting to a new league is a quality. Adapting to a new team, to new teammates is a quality on its own. And the fact that Umbogazi ungenile in less than 6 months
It took him 2 minutes.
You
Took him 2 minutes to be the best defender. I think he's the best defender in South Africa.
I think it
It took him 2 minutes.
I think he starts in the first game in AFCON, in my opinion.
You agree with the assertion that he's the best defender in the country?
I think he starts. I think the biggest compliment I can give him.
Do you agree with the assertion that he's the best defender in South Africa, Mbogazi? Is there any defender who's better than Mbogazi?
Olisanda, for me, he's the
right
best
now.
defender in the country.
Well, on
He's not
Olisanda,
playing.
we haven't seen him in 2 years.
Okay.
So you have to now think of a name who's not playing.
I want to say he's the best, but I need him to improve, to be honest with you.
Oh, of course, he can always improve. OJ, when we saw him the first time, he was not a finished article, but we knew what we were seeing.
Yeah.
And then for 10 years, with all his problems, of course, but for 10 years, 15 years, we were like, oh, this is what we saw. There were ups and downs, but we saw the talent.
I think currently he's the most informed defender, in my opinion. Technical. Here's another thing that
He's
I
so
like.
dominant against attackers.
There's another coaching point. He orbit all the time abafuna stretchy baller. He was the one that was responsible ukudila the tall striker. And most of the time in first half he lost those duels, but doesn't intend that. He is brave enough to compete for those balls, to say, hey man, I even got a responsibility. So from what I like from the boys, the psychological profile, because most of the time the best centre backs are the ones who are a little bit matured or married because they understand the responsibility. Another thing that I like from Umbata, which is a player,
You can continue. We have 60 seconds.
60 seconds. One thing that I want to love, I love a midfielder that has a mentality of a breadwinner. I love a midfielder that has a mentality of a helper. And for me, iron sharpens iron, Mr. Nkeo. The best credit I can give Umbata is I thought when Abombule come to Pirates, his game might drop. I like the fact that he took this as a challenge. And for me, Ugutanga in the second half and Anombule to change the game, I think in midfield they brought a passing precision. The Pirates, yes, but I think they passed with intention. Ipola will move a little bit quicker, which is other principles of having the ball and keeping the ball. As we want to shift the opponent. How do we shift the opponent? It's about moving it quicker. Umbule, yes, but Lalila passa floppy there and there. But the biggest credit I want to give Umbata is Isantonheim have got a mentality of a helper.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much to Lindo Pep. Whenever there's 4 of us here, we try to squeeze these conversations to 10 minutes because, of course, there's also the night that's coming. You know, we want to upload these videos as quickly as possible. So there's the consideration as well. I know some people, like I've received a lot of messages sometimes to say, can you guys talk for 20 minutes? We don't have the space to talk for 20 minutes because the videos have to be uploaded. And the longer they are, the longer they take as well to upload. And there's other people as well that we need to shoot with. Well done to Orbit College. They made themselves a nuisance against one of the best teams in the country. Orlando Pirates, many questions to answer about their approaches to football matches because this is not a Sundowns game where you can get away with being a little bit more defensive. This is a game that you have to dominate. You need to convince us, South Africa, once again this year, we are fighting for the title. We need to believe it. You've lost the first 2 games. You're now starting to pick up. You need to now convince us that you are the Orlando Pirates that challenges for titles, especially the most important one, the national championship. It is iDiski Times. We're so betting.
Shapunjan bafowethu igama lami Lindo Pep, the best analyst in the country. Please don't forget to subscribe to iDiskiTV. Tanko.
This is Bongane Benedict Villagazi, they call me so. Niyazi bafethu, ama coach for life, they are back in winning ways. Please, siyacela ukuthi subscribe iDiskiTV.